So my name's Adam, and if you've been floating around on the Neurodiversity blogosphere, you probably know me from my longtime blog and Facebook page, Differently Wired. To be honest, I've always kind of wanted to start a YouTube channel, but the work involved has kind of been off-putting, so executive functioning or just plain laziness, writing just seemed easier to me. But I don't know. Even still, YouTube has always kind of struck me as an opportunity for the neurodiversity community to kind of come together and speak out. So after watching other mental health advocates, like the amazing Chloe and her system over at DissociaDID, which is an amazing channel, and her cause is near and dear to my heart for family reasons, so you should check them out too, and I'll put a link in the description below, I decided to take my own crack at it. So here I am. I guess before I get into what I hope to accomplish with this channel, I should first introduce myself a bit. Again, I'm Adam. I'm 31. I live in Northern Ontario, Canada. I'm a huge nerd, as you can probably see from the rows of consoles and trinkets on display behind me. Yeah, I spend way too much money on my nerdy habits, but simple things in life bring us joy. Most importantly, though, I have Asperger's disorder, which is now known as autism spectrum disorder. And if you believe my school file, and I do, I'm inclined to, it also flagged an attentional deficit, which in the 90s you couldn't co-diagnose Asperger's and ADD, so that's how they would do it. So I call it unofficial ADHD inattentive because it seems to apply to that. I was diagnosed at age 9 after my emotions around my parents' divorce manifested explosively, and I seemed to struggle with self-regulation. It was the start of a long journey of self-discovery for me, and I tended to go back and forth between indifference and fear. So, indifference, that's nothing to do with me. I'm my own person. I don't think about that. It's all good. I got this. And fear of, oh God, I really hope no one sees that blemish on my file. I think is kind of a reasonable response given the stigma around mental health in our world, but I can say that the one thing I never felt was proud. I did at one point speak out about Asperger's in a speech I gave in grade 7 for a speechwriting contest, and everyone kind of paid lip service to appreciating it, and no one really did. So again, pride is not a thing I ever really felt. Which, again, is funny considering all the work I've done for neurodiversity, but that's a thing I discovered in university. I didn't really do the self-advocacy thing or the neurodiversity pride thing for the longest time. But I mean, again, after all, how could I? Given all the media message around autism and Asperger's, ADHD, and all the other things, how could anyone want to be proud of being diagnosed with something that almost everyone seems to think is a burden and a tragedy? I mean, it's not, of course. Being on the spectrum and being #actually autistic, as I know the hashtag is, because as a rule, our community tends to prefer identity first language, although that's always up to the individual. You should always respect what someone tells you they want to be called. But being these things is actually a gift beyond measure. It's responsible for so much of my creativity and drive and outlook on the world. I write science fiction when I'm not doing this kind of thing, and I write science fiction down to how the traffic lights work and how the engines work on the ships. This is how detail-oriented I am with things I'm interested in. So stuff like that, I can't imagine an existence where I didn't hyper-focus like that on things I was interested in, or absorb crazy amounts of information like, I should really go to bed, Adam says as he's browsing Reddit. Next thing you know, I'm Googling nuclear theory. It's just how my brain works. So on that, it would just be weird to not be like that. So, I mean, this whole stigma thing, I don't get it. I don't understand how I could want to be any other way than how I am. So on that note, I kind of want to use this channel to change perceptions. I want to change hearts and minds around ASD from a perspective of an adult who is on the spectrum. And again, this is my story. This is no one else's story, because you can only speak for yourself when it comes to this. If you know one autistic person or one person with ADHD or one person like this, you know one person like this. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's degree of challenges and gifts and everything else is different. The spectrum doesn't mean severe to moderate. It's like you're gifted here, you're challenged here. You're gifted here, you're challenged here. It's more of a crazy bar graph. But anyway, I'm hoping to change some minds and hearts on it by showing a human story. I've always wanted to do that. It's informed a lot of what I've been doing is in my late 20s, early 30s, and I'm going to continue doing that. So before we get into any of that, I do think we have to cover an important term before we do any other videos, and that is neurodiversity. Now, you probably hear this term bandied around a lot in parents activist groups and self-activist groups and wars between parents and self-advocates, which is an entire other video. But what does it mean? According to the National Symposium on Neurodiversity at Syracuse University, neurodiversity is a concept where the neurological differences are to be recognized and respected just like any other human variation. These differences can include those labeled with dyspraxia, dyslexia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism spectrum disorder, Tourette syndrome, and others. And likewise, everyone's favorite online database and scourge of professors everywhere. And as an aside, I already hear my former university prof screaming at this video with that. I am sorry. was a good definition. So, Wikipedia, again, defines neurodiversity in the following way. Neurodiversity refers to variations in the human brain regarding sociability, learning, attention, mood, and other mental functions. Neurodiversity is a portmanteau, which is a combination word, because yay, English minor, of neurological and diversity, that was popularized in the late 1990s by an Australian sociologist called Judy Singer and an American journalist called Harvey Bloom. Essentially, neurodiversity as a concept is a simple one. Things like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, and others are not defects. They're alternative wirings of human gray matter, which are as natural as the diversity that exists in skin color, hair color, body shape, and size, and everything else. If there's any disabling parts of them at all, it's because of the social model of disability, where someone is only disabled because the vast majority of the population doesn't have a trait that they have. And I'll be doing another video on social model versus medical model, so don't worry, we'll cover that. I don't know, it's really hot right now in Canada. And my apartment is muggy as heck, and yeah. Anyway, neurodiversity is revolutionary because unlike the medical model, which writes these things off as defects, like I said, in need of curing, neurodiversity represents a fundamental shift. The acceptance of conditions like autism and ADHD are as valid and worth preserving for all of their gifts and positives. In addition, it also advocates that the best help for neurodivergent people, that is to say, people who have any number of conditions represented by the neurodiversity umbrella, is not a system of therapies designed to make us look and act like everyone else, but rather acceptance, love, and tools we can use to overcome our challenges and play to our strengths. Target specific areas of weakness. Don't try to change an individual. Because guess what? We are who we are. We're proud of that fact. And it might look like you're curbing autistic tendencies by certain types of therapies, but you're not. All you do when you teach a dog not to bark is that it's not okay to bark. You're not curbing the reason they want to bark to begin with, and it's very much the same with things like stimming or eye contact, that kind of thing. So guess what? We're not going anywhere. I'm sorry, I had no intention on making this long video, but I seem to have rambled, which, when someone on the spectrum gets passionate about something that they're interested in, we ramble, so we'll learn something else today, too. Yay! Anyway, I had no intention of making this a long video, but I hope I've been able to give you guys a little bit of background on both what neurodiversity is and why I'm starting this channel. I hope to be able to pump out one video every month, because as of yet this hasn't become my career and I still have to do the working stiff thing. But I will be setting up a Patreon. I'm actually waiting on them to approve me as of recording of this video, and I'm hoping to have feedback available on there as well. You guys can leave feedback, that kind of thing. I'm still new to this whole YouTube channel thing, so bear with me. If you have any neurodiversity related topics you'd like me to cover, feel free to mention them in the comment section below, or on Patreon when that's up and running, or in any other way you can. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm just coming out of my shell and doing this kind of thing for the first time, so I want feedback and I want engagement with the community. So whatever you guys think I should talk about, I will. I'm obviously going to talk about things I want to talk about too. But yeah, remember, if you like this video, if you want to watch other ones, feel free to subscribe so that you can keep up to date on all my new content as it comes out. And again, glacial pace at first, but it's going to pick up hopefully as I start to figure out the system a little bit more. Anyway, until next time, remember the old Vulcan proverb, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Live long and prosper.